It is 6 o'clock. We're going to call this meeting to order. We're going to start with two of our local Boy Scouts, Creed Brinkley and Michael Barr, who are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if y'all would stand with us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to give you this token of our appreciation for being here with us today and leading us in the pledge. Thank y'all very much.
Okay, guys.
Alderman Miller, would you lead us in our invocation?
My Father, once again, Lord, we come before you first, Lord, with thanksgiving on our hearts. We ask you, Lord, we thank you for this day. Then, Lord, we thank you for every opportunity you have given us, and we thank you, Lord, for all your many different blessings. We pray, Heavenly Father, whatever decision we make on tonight will be pleasing in our sight. We ask you, Lord, to continue, Lord, to bless our soldiers where they might be. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The agenda is approved. Item 5 is to approve the docket of claim numbers listed on your agenda. Could I have a motion on that item?
I have a couple of questions, or like points of clarification, just to make sure that I'm understanding.
Okay.
And they are on the sanitation department for the garbage disposal bills, and then also under the sewer department for the DeCrua charges. I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure I was understanding, because I know obviously the utility fund's been a big
Yes.
topic. So I wasn't sure if it was something where we were holding on to invoices till we got our cash flow sorted, or
Yes, we're trying not to approve invoices before we have the cash flow.
that's always a good idea. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure, especially because the DeCrua one was the exact same amount, and just the way that the
The
notes
DeCrua
were on
ones
it.
are the same amount every month, because it's a level billing. And then
Gotcha.
they do the true up at the end, so they are exactly the
And
same.
since the notes were like slightly different on it, that's why I was like, I just wanted to make 100% sure on that. So that.
Now, there will be one coming up, the true up that we owe of $193,000. That'll be a different amount when that one hits.
Okay.
So-
But that's why there's duplicates on there.
Yes.
They're not really duplicates, it's just the two different ones.
Correct.
Perfect.
Yep. And the bill that everyone will be getting very shortly is the one that has the new rates on it.
Gotcha.
Any other questions on the docket? If not, could I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion passes. Item 6 is to approve the minutes from the regular Mayor and Board of Aldermen meeting of April 7th, 2026.
Motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. We'll have a roll call vote.
Alderman Kitchens.
Aye.
Alderman Piper. Alderman McLendon.
Aye.
Alderwoman Lynch. Aye. Alderman Miller.
Stay.
Alderman Robinson.
Aye.
Alderman Wicker.
And that motion passes. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the consent agenda passes. Item 8 is the personnel docket. Can I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second on the personnel docket. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The personnel docket passes. Item 9 is the donations docket. Can I have a motion on that?
Motion.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the donations docket passes. Item 10, we have got Pam back with us tonight for one last time. I see her back there. We have a proclamation we want to give to honor Pam's service to our city. I think most of y'all know that she entered in a time of turmoil. Back in 21, those of us who were just starting then had our first meeting with no city attorney and no city clerk. And thank goodness Pam stepped right in. The next meeting after that, y'all hired her as the city clerk, and she got us on the straight and narrow and kept us going for all these years. And we are happy that you're getting to retire, but we're a little sad for ourselves. Even though Nicole was doing a fantastic job, you trained her well. But we just want to officially read a proclamation and present you with an award for your years of service. So I'm going to read this. It's got a bunch of whereases. This is for City Clerk Pam Powell's retirement. Whereas Pam Powell has served the City of Hernando with dedication, professionalism, and integrity as City Clerk, and whereas she brought to the city valuable municipal experience and a strong commitment to public service, and whereas since joining the City of Hernando, Pam Powell has faithfully supported the work of the Mayor, Board of Aldermen, city staff, and citizens through her steady leadership and dependable service, and whereas she took on the significant responsibility of overseeing and managing ARPA-related administrative work for the City of Hernando, and whereas she entered the office during a challenging period of transition with limited guidance and an overwhelming volume of files and records, and brought order, stability, and professionalism to the position. And whereas when additional responsibilities arose, including the need to take over accounts payable duties, Pam Powell stepped forward to ensure continuity and efficiency in the city's daily operations. And whereas through her initiative and commitment to excellence, she developed a more organized and effective system for purchase orders, improving the city's administrative processes. And whereas her commitment to professional growth was reflected in earning her certified municipal clerk designation, and whereas throughout her service, Pam Powell has made a lasting and positive impact on the City of Hernando and will be remembered with gratitude and appreciation upon her retirement. Now therefore, I, Mayor Chip Johnson, on behalf of the Board of Aldermen, do hereby recognize and honor Pam Powell for her years of service to the City of Hernando, and urge all citizens to join in recognizing and thanking Pam Powell for her faithful service and many contributions to our community. Could I have a motion to approve that proclamation?
Motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no, and that motion carries unanimously. Pam, would you come up here and take one last photograph with us and get your award? There's your proclamation.
Glad the days are behind.
All right. Thank you. Pam, you don't have to suffer through the whole meeting if you don't want to. Item 11 is the end of the year update from the Department of Planning from Director Austin Cardosi.
All right. Good evening. I did promise the mayor I'd be pretty brief, so I'll show you such. You guys get to see me.
Because he didn't read it like that.
Well, you can see the next slide, I guess. So, you guys get to see me a lot in our department's interactions with what's going on. Hoping tonight can provide more of an overview of the day-to-day. You guys know we do building, planning, historic preservation, code, privilege tax, which is our business licensure. We coordinate the NPO project funding, and then the Planning Commission met 12 times last year. 54 items were considered. 10 conditional uses, 19 subdivision, 16 variants, and 18 rezonings. Mapped that back similar to last year to show you the cumulative effect of how we've changed over the past. Zoning activities more than doubled in the past 11 years. And so on the linear graph, we did have a downtrend last year, but overall we're still increasing versus the 2015. I think what's most telling about this graph and the numbers we did last year was the orange line that you see that trended up quite drastically from 24 to 25. And those are our subdivisions. And so the subdivision applications that y'all saw last year were recorded increased significantly. And so what that means for next year's activity will be building permits and residential and commercial activity for vertical construction. And so usually the orange line is a precursor for next year's permit activity. And so you can see in 2020, 2021, we had an increase. And then the next graph I'll show you kind of shows you what happened in those years versus what I think is going to happen next year. Of course, interest rates are a reality of our department of where that treats residential construction. But with that being said, last year In total, we processed almost 3,000 permits through the department. That's 115 new homes and 21 new commercial buildings. The 1,279 building inspections is the number of logged inspections. Our building official, Tony Ezel, I cannot say enough good things about him because in a lot of cases, I've had building officials or building inspectors that are to the point where if I hear about it, you guys hear about it, it's not being handled in the field. Tony handles it. We've got quality inspections, and he's got real interactions with our builders, and so I appreciate him a lot. So the 1,279 inspections that you see are the log inspections. That's not the free phone call or the picture you got from a text message, so that's through our system. And then we did receive over $1 million in fees through building permitting, business licensure, TAP fees, re-inspection fees that came directly through our front office. The year-end report and the numbers we just saw were calendar year, just from January to December 31. And so I know our fiscal year doesn't run those same numbers, and so to give you guys a better idea of where we are now this fiscal year, I included some numbers of those 115 new homes, 11 new commercial buildings and 43 new homes were from this fiscal year. And our commercial activities picked up a lot since October 1. And so our building permit revenue is already at 90% or 97% of our budgeted revenue that we planned on. And so we've had a few large outliers with some industrial buildings and some hotels, but just to give you an idea of the day-to-day of the inspections, the review of the department we're doing, the revenue does reflect that. Along with subdivisions, another precursor for vertical construction that you guys see is a certificate of development. And so that's our process of when a new building wants to build in Hernando, and they submit to us, and we make sure it meets all the regs and go through a process. But there were 19 of those this year. And so we can expect those commercial buildings to come, as I just talked about, in the kind of the budgeted revenue that we're seeing this year. The use and occupancy permit, that's when someone is wanting to start a business in an existing building. And so it's either a changeover or a new empty vacant space being filled. And that's coordination with the fire department on those inspections, but there were 73 of those in this past year. We have a very active Historic Preservation Commission. I'm thankful for their work in preserving downtown Hernando within the historic district. They met 5 times last year, and so anytime you want to change the exterior of a building within the historic district, they meet and consider the application. And they considered 9 items, 4 commercial, 5 residential. And then the certified local government, we reapply for certification every year, and that was reapproved this year. Somewhat of the boring part of our department is the different agencies that we correspond on the federal and state level. That's MDEQ, MEMA, the EPA, and so our department coordinates the stormwater program. And so an MS4 permit is the permit we have with the state for general construction. So it was reapproved this year. We actually audited and came out with a clean slate. We just completed Stormwater Week, and thanks to everybody for the readings at the schools. It's a great program for outreach, and we hosted Earth Day with the county in participation with Stormwater Awareness Week last week. I think it was a good success. We do participate in the flood insurance discount rate program. Right now it's paused because of federal legislation. It's not funded. So we are in the middle of an audit that's being paused because there's no one there to audit us right now. And so we expect it to come out fine, but participation in that program offers our citizens flood insurance discounts on their rates if they have flood insurance. And so it's a good program. We're in the middle of that audit. We issued 454 business licenses last year, $43,000 roughly of revenue received. Our front desk is Cynthia Brewer. I know you guys have seen if you've stopped by, and she's the smiling person you see when you walk in. She's in charge of that program, does a great job, and she's coordinated the program. We're getting folks active as fast as we can. Code enforcement, we had a code enforcement officer most of the year. We've recently lost him, so That position is posted, so I'd publicly like to solicit applications for code enforcement officer. But we investigated 261 cases, 122 of which went beyond just the verbal warning of the first stop. 5 citations to court, and with the big help of Public Works, we've resolved 3 others with grass cutting crews and assessed those to the taxes. We had 1 demolition last year via public health and safety hearing. Thankfully, it didn't make it to you guys. Just the advertisement triggered the demolition of the building, so that was I think a better part of downtown being done. Kristen Duggan is the zoning administrator. She is right now the code enforcement officer for us, and she also coordinates all of our commercial building activity. And so she's handling a lot, and so we appreciate her as well. A couple of project highlights. I did this last year too, just to show you guys the changes that we visually can see versus last year. The main of which is Hernando High School and what that's triggered on the McInville corridor. Prior to August 25, Hernando High School was under construction and McInville Overlay was under construction at the same time. There was a race to complete both projects, and they were both done. I think it's a great success. It's a beautiful building. If you've not done the tour of the building, we can coordinate something with the school board. It's like a college campus. I think we're very proud of having Hernando. Nesbitt Industrial is this smaller scale industrial site we have on the northern side of the city. It's been steadily under construction for about 10 years, and it's ramped up in the past 48 months. 24 of the 27 lots have developed, and there's 3 of the buildings we completed in the past year. And aesthetically, I know the industrial parks can have a bit of a stigma because of loud and obnoxious uses. They've done a really great job. There's sidewalks connecting, the landscape is great. Even the architecture of the buildings, they are industrial buildings, but I do think they fit. And so I think they've done a great job. They're about to be complete. We've had a couple of infill developments on a small scale. More Automotive is on Creekside Boulevard. It's a smaller scale automotive repair that they did a pretty good job on their architecture. And a very visible building that I think we're all proud of is the Kevin Jones building at Commerce and the railroad tracks. He's revamped the outside, he's improved the streetscape, and then he's poured a sidewalk along Mount Pleasant going south, which it may not mean much, but that's the start of the parade for the Christmas. And so there's a place for people to stand now. So we're appreciative of Kevin and everything he's done for that building. Going out of the downtown area, there's 2 projects on the outskirts, I call them, but the collections at Getwell is underway. Utilities have been run, and the first phase of the collections at Getwell is under construction. And then Tractor Supply is being very aggressive in their construction schedule and making good with that. It's set to open soon, but if you haven't cruised McInville in a minute, it's changed. Some special projects we've worked on over the past year. We've coordinated with the utility department. They currently have a contract with a mapping software where we can do a GIS map and create those interactively. So we've started mapping all the sidewalks inside the city limits of Hernando. Right now we're up to about 215 miles that we've mapped. And so the top right map shows everything in green is something that's been field verified with the condition. So we know exactly where it is, what condition it's in. And it's changing every day with the work we're doing on it. But the goal is to have every piece of sidewalk mapped in the city limits of Hernando. I think the outcome of that is we're going to know where the sidewalk isn't. And so we're going to kind of strategically use our funds in the street department to fill those gaps of sidewalk. The bottom left map is a heat map through an application called Strava. Strava Metro is a program they give you for being a government entity that gives you more real-time data of where people actually are when they log a workout. And so trying to compare the bottom left map and the top right map and using our dollars the most efficient way is something we're going to try to do over the next year. In talking with the mayor through the sidewalk project, this is something I just kind of thought was neat, not necessarily over the past year, but kind of the historical context of the sidewalk mapping project that we're doing. So within the historic district, we noticed that over the past summer, when the drought happened, we noticed there were dead grass lines going through a lot of places in the historic district. And in marking some of them, we realized there's sidewalks underneath where the grass has grown. And the picture on the right are the board minutes from the city of Hernando in 1910 that we dug up. The mayor mentioned that there was a bond issuance, and so we found the old handwritten board notes where the Board of Aldermen in 1910 issued a $10,000 bond to put sidewalks in downtown Hernando. And so some of the sidewalks we're finding from this project over the past year are some of the ones that were funded in 1910. So I thought that was kind of neat. My wife said that would be a flop, but I thought it was pretty neat.
I like it, I like it.
This is a quick slide, but it kind of shows a lot of work from the Planning Commission and you guys. We've adopted the comprehensive plan, and we've adopted the latest and greatest building codes. And so, like I mentioned, a quick slide, but we coordinated with the Bouchelon Institute on including the local builders in the other cities to try to come up with a unified code. In general, us cities of South Haven and City of Olive Branch have similar sprinkler requirements, which I think is a step in the right direction. And we've had phased implementation, and Tony's done a great job with that in the field with the inspectors and the builders. And the comp plan, it's been adopted, and we have the zoning coming up in probably about 2 months out, I'd guess. And it'll be the first implementation of using the comp plan. So it is important in day-to-day use, but it's also important with the Ratings Bureau, as we mentioned with the building code update. And then for any annexation that we propose, which we are in the middle of one right now, on small scale, the first thing the judge has asked me is, where are you at with your comp plan and how are your building codes? And so the fact that we're updated in that, it goes a long way. And then the zoning ordinance update, it's something else we're going to talk about tonight here in just a little bit, but the ordinance committee and the planning commission has been hard at work with several changes to the zoning ordinance and the design regs. And so we'll take a first blush at that tonight at the board level, and so that's here in just a minute. And then I mentioned the MPO projects that come through our department. The McInville overlay is complete and done and signed off on, so that was a huge part of the MPO's budget that year. It was about an $8 million overlay, and so that was a large one. The Nesbitt sidewalks are for downtown Nesbitt. That's a project that's been on the books since about 2014. And we're currently in right-of-way. We brought the consultant to you guys, and he's hard at work in acquiring those parcels. And then the completion of the Mount Pleasant bike lanes, it's soon to go out to bid. It's in this year's budget for construction of our local match. We're finishing up the final signatures on right-of-way, so we're hoping to have a bid back in front of you very soon for construction this year to be before school. So that concludes my presentation. Appreciate y'all's time.
Have any questions for Austin? Austin, we appreciate you and your team and the fine line you walk between keeping citizens happy and builders happy. And my phone has rang a lot less in the last 4 years, so I appreciate all your work. Okay, item 12 is the end of the year update from the Department of Community and Economic Development by Director Gia Matheny.
A little bright. Okay. So under Community and Economic Development, we focus on grants, tourism. We have a mobile app, our website and social, and we have a lot of community engagement as well as outreach, partnerships, and funding, which also includes part of our economic development outreach. Under grants, we're going to go through each of those a little bit. Grants, we had brought in $2.5 million in grants that we're continually working on this past year. They focus on economic development initiatives, tourism, recreation, environment, arts and culture, and downtown revitalization. Some of our larger grants include a Mississippi Outdoor Stewardship Trust Fund, which is close to $2 million. A U.S. EPA Brownfields program, which will be expiring at the end of September this year, and we have already applied for a new grant, which is $500,000. We still have properties that we need to assess and owners who are wanting their properties assessed, but we do not currently have enough funds in the current grant to complete all of those. So we will expend all of our dollars probably prior to the end of our grant. We have a new grant with the Mississippi Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. It's a Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, which will help us to light Kirkendall Park with new lighting. That's almost $200,000. Mississippi Main Street Revitalization Program grant is an exciting one because this was a grant that was written a couple of years ago. We've been working with the state and the legislature to get those grants to be approved. It's more than just our city that's part of that program, but our grant will also allow us to cover lighting which is uplighting for our historic water tower to beautify the downtown, improve all of our streetscapes with brand new street signs, so wayfinding signage in all of the historic districts and on the Main Street district. And then it will include some Placer AI data that we are really trying to use so that we can see how economic development is growing and improving in the downtown and all throughout the city. And then we also were able to secure over $100,000 in local funding, which includes some of our sponsorships for our events. Under tourism and quality of life, these are some of our annual events that we have throughout the year and that come up every year. And we just started our first event in April for Touch a Truck. That's an Excel by 5 event for our families with young children. We were able to partner at Longview Church this year, and it was very successful. We were excited about that. This weekend actually starts the Hernando Farmers Market, and that goes April through October. We see a lot of construction on the square, but we still hope to have that in the downtown, and we have a lot of folks who are very excited about it, including myself. In September, we will have our Children's Health Fair, and then we roll right into October, right about when our farmers market starts to end its season. We have our Water Tower 10K and half marathon. November is our Dickens of a Christmas, which is 1.5 days of excitement for the holidays. It brings a lot of shoppers to our downtown businesses, improves economic development, and also exposes our community to the arts and culture in Hernando and North Mississippi. With all of those events in 2025, we had over 100 volunteers and over 70 sponsors that supported our city and our initiatives. Excel by 5 is our early childhood program. It's for families with young children, and so Excel by 5 means that we want to prepare them by the time they're age 5 for school. Under this program, we offer our Touch a Truck, our POP program, which is a healthy eating program, eating at an early age, and we have a sponsor for that at the farmers market. We have our Children's Health Fair. We have our Dolly Parton Imagination Library. So Hernando still is the only city in the county that offers this program. We currently have almost 700 children that are enrolled and active, and over 1,000 have already graduated. From the inception of the program to today, we have given away over 50,000 books to the children in Hernando, and we are very proud of that. Part of that early literacy initiative includes other book giveaways, which we offer at our events throughout the year, and those are over 2,000 additional books that we give away each year, and we have to secure over $20,000 in funding to be able to provide that program, and we do that through sponsors and events. The farmers market is 27 weeks of the year from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. on the town square. The farmers market also brought in $800,000 in sales. We feel like we have now peaked, and we had $800,000 this past year and the year before. That goes directly into the hands of our farmers and vendors, which are recirculated back into the community. So that's very good for Hernando. Those are indirect sales that benefit our local businesses. With that, we do want to also help support low-income shoppers. This is a wonderful program. So we are different than most markets here in Mississippi. We're a centralized market. So we have so many tourists that come to Hernando for the farmers market, and When they get out there, they don't realize how many vendors we have. You know, you can go to some farmers market, they may have 10 or 20 vendors. We have 80 vendors, and that's a lot of vendors. And when they come here, they don't bring enough cash, and we want them to spend those dollars right here in Hernando. So by having a centralized market, we have a token program, and we can offer them additional sales through our credit card tokens, SNAP tokens, and we have a grant for the low-income shoppers. So if they spend $20 in SNAP, which gives them a huge selection of products to choose from, we will give them an additional $20 in vegetable tokens, so if they can buy fruits or vegetables and leverage their dollars. And that's all through a grant we receive from the Jackson Medical Mall Foundation. We have senior days and children's days once a month at the market. We have entertainment, music, fitness classes, cooking demos. We've actually expanded that. We have yoga, free yoga, 7 a.m. every Saturday, and now we've included Silo Square wants to be a part of that. So we have the Well Pilates coming at 8 a.m. to do an hour of Pilates at 8. So come and bring your yoga mats. And then our local businesses benefit because of the tourism. More shoppers mean more sales in our stores because people want to have an experience, and they can do that right here in Hernando. Just a little bit of what we do to promote the market. We do a lot of social media, and we feel that that's the best way to target the type of audience we're looking for. And we did some statistics on this last year. We now have over 22,000 followers, which is larger than our city page at the moment. And we had almost 3 million views of our farmers market posts from April to October. These are just some fun pictures I had to show. We have wonderful cooking demonstrations, and we get the support of our local restaurateurs who come out and support our farmers and market. And these are just some shots to show you all of the people that do attend our farmers market in our downtown, and those are shoppers that are coming to visit with our stores and our restaurants. They stop and pick up gas, or they even go to Kroger and get other items that they were not able to get at the farmers market. Then we lead right into the Water Tower 10K and half marathon, which I forgot to include on that. But we have really increased the number of runners. We had 730 runners this past year from 20 states and 97 cities. And out of all of those runners, this goes to show you how Mississippi supports health and fitness and our race in Hernando. 577 Mississippians, 381 DeSoto Countyans, and 263 runners from Hernando participated in our race. With that, we had 29 sponsors, and $24,000 was raised for the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Oops. And and as you can see, we can't forget this, these are all of our supporters, or at least some of our supporters. We have our aldermen who run in the race. Channel 3, Tyler Eliason comes out and MCs. We have staff that works the event, and we have lots of citizens that come out and run, and we cannot thank our police department enough for being out there and monitoring our streets. Dickens of a Christmas is in November. In 2023, we were able to utilize Placer AI, and they were able to ping cell phones. It was determined that there was 13,000 visitors who came to our downtown for that event that day. So that is truly raw data we were able to get. We did not have Placer AI in 2025, but we feel that our number had really increased. It was probably more than 15,000, but we're going to try to be conservative and use that number because the number of people that we actually saw out there was so great. It was a wonderful response. Our businesses did better than in 2023, and we just had a wonderful day. It's a wonderful opportunity to improve the quality of life in Hernando. We oversee our website, which is our city calendar, our news releases, annual events. Tiffany Austin also is our community development assistant. She does a really good job helping us keep up with our website and our mobile app. And these are some other opportunities that we use to promote the city. And this is our mobile app, which we are getting ready to go through a brand new launch. This should be updated by the end of the week. You'll have a refresh on your mobile app. And we are even partnering and working closely with Austin in the planning department because we have an arts and culture section. So there's probably, close to 100 sites, historic markers, and national landmarks that are located on the app. So you can use GPS directions to see all of those sites in Hernando. And that ends the presentation, but we're going to continue to look for opportunities to enhance the city, and I just love what I do. So, and I love working with all of you too.
Y'all have any questions for Gia? Gia, on behalf of all the citizens and the board, we appreciate you and your one-person department, or two-person department, your other person.
Yes.
Yes, but thank you for all you do. You bring a good quality of life to a lot of citizens.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 13 is one more of our end-of-the-year updates from our dispatch director, Deborah Rosenberg.
Hello. I'm going to keep mine short and sweet.
Thank you, Deborah.
Yes. Well, last year, I kind of want to get through everything. So we are staffed 24/7. We have 12 full-time dispatchers, 3 working computer positions. We are fully staffed at this time. I have 3 in training, 2 that are about to get released, and 1 that just started this past week. I was going to make a graph for my stats, but we went down a little bit in the calls that we took last year, and it was only like a 3% drop, but it looked really huge on the graph, and I didn't like the way that looked. Our text to 911 is getting used a lot more. The dispatchers are using that. Sometimes when people call 911, they may not take a call back when we try to call to see if they need if they have an emergency, so we'll text them. We have like a canned message that this is the Hernando Police Department. If you have an emergency, let us know. And a majority of the time, we get a response back via text. Our 911 answer times were up. We answer 911 within 10 seconds, which is above standard, NANA standards. Some of the things that we did well this year, the DeSoto County 911 Commission is responsible for paying for the radios and the 911 phones. We got those provided this past year, and we are responsible for the CAD and CAD license with our new furniture that will be coming in the next year. Well, this year, but next year's update. Our 4th console will be up and working. Tornado sirens, they're all updated and in good working order. We did have 2 supervisor positions. We actually have 3 supervisors working. We have 4 total supervisor positions created, but I have 1 open at this time. And we got our cybersecurity grant, which was 100% match. We just got the funds for it, and it was just under $60,000, so we're in the process of purchasing items for that. It's going to give us a second server. I couldn't think of what it was called. A server in dispatch. We already have a virtual server, and just help seal the security in dispatch so we don't have any ransomware and stuff like that. In the next few years, we'll look to just continuing modernizing our dispatch center, working on getting two-way communication with our tornado sirens, continue to upgrade our server room, and room to grow with hiring more people when we need more people. And our goal every year is to maintain the standards that we've set for our department and keep the officers and fire EMS safe and the citizens safe. And that's it.
That's a quick way to announce all the work your ladies doing there. I know it's a big job, and y'all do it very well. I actually went over there last night, and I hate to say that I was happy to see that your old dispatch center is completely empty now, which means progress is happening.
We have been in there all day today. Both the chiefs were in there helping us paint and doing a lot of good work, and it's been work. but it's been fun.
I'm glad to know they can paint. That's going to be helpful for
They
the
do.
future.
Oh, no, I didn't say they liked it, but
Thank you, though, for what you're doing and the way you're overseeing the updating of that room, and I think it's going to be good for us in the future, as you said. So
Yes, sir.
thank you and your team.
thank you.
All right. Item 15 is to surplus the property listed on your agenda from the police department. Is there a motion on that?
Motion.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Item 15, myself and 3 of the alderpersons went to the Blue Ribbon Economic Development Conference in D.C. and just wanted to give an update on that. As y'all know, it used to be something we did every year with all the other cities and the county supervisors. During COVID, it fell apart kind of, and then for a while, we were inviting the congressmen and senators to come here every other year, and we found out they didn't come. So that was kind of a bust. It wasn't working real well, so we've gone back to going in person. We all had some speaking parts to the various representatives there while we were there. I was able to give the I-55 talk about the needs, and of course, when I talked about I-55, I made sure to include the most important part, which is the commerce exit and the importance of funding that one. We talked about getting $10 million for sewer and water projects that Pickering Firm is helping us with through Cindy Hyde-Smith's office. We asked for that. This is our first year to ask for that. And the other thing we were asking for as a city was for $10.5 million for a command fire department that will be required of us by the Fire Rating Bureau out near Green Tea in Tullahoma. And we had really good response on that this year. Very candidly, the congressman said, y'all been asking for this for 5 years, and we need to get it done. So it has been requested by Congressman Kelly's office. You can see it on his website as one of the requests. So it's a real request. That doesn't mean we've gotten it yet. We should hear more in June to July, and then the real politics start, and they start hashing it over and deciding how much they're going to give everybody. And it may not be $10.5 million, but if it's something, we'll be happy with something, because it's been nothing for the last few years. But anybody else that was on that trip want to have any comments about the trip?
Well, I thought it was a great trip. It was my first time to go. I loved how we, coordinated with the other cities and just just people around that are parts of different things around the county. And we all, showed like a united front. We got to get face to face with all of our 2 senators and our representative. We got to go to dinner with Trent Kelly, just us. I thought that was a pretty big highlight. So, that was some really good one-on-one time. And, you just can't do that without being there in person. So I thought it was a successful, good trip.
And I would say because our group, our Blue Ribbon group had 27 people was in that group from all different parts of the county, and so we split up into several different groups to make sure that we could meet all our representatives, even the ones that in this area and outside the area, because we know that you need support even from outside the area to make sure we get projects funded that we're asking for. So me and the mayor from Walls, Mayor Henderson, along with Alderman Keith White from Walls, along with myself, we met with the chief of staff for Congressman Bennett Thompson's office, and we received well based upon, again, some of the things that we're looking for, with Walls looking for a new city hall, and along with the concern that we had here in the city of Hernando. So we think everything all over, the delegation received us well, and they took plenty of notes. So we left booklets with them also with some of the priorities that we have also. So it was very well attended, and I think we were received real well.
Yeah. No, I'll agree with everything all 3 of y'all said, and I think, some of the most important points we tried to point was I-55 commerce. But I thought it was really good for us to get dinner that night with Trent Kelly, pushing just him, asking just for the fire department, and I think that's going to go a long ways to make it happen.
Any questions or comments? Okay, all right. I appreciate those of you who went on the trip and the professionalism that was shown there. And also, the other one piece of it you can't put a value on is just the camaraderie of getting to know the other mayors and other aldermen and actually picking their brains some and hopefully stealing some ideas while we're down there too. So hopefully we'll see some payback on it. We'll move on to item 16, which is the discussion of possible amendments to the zoning ordinance and design standards ordinance. So you're up again, Austin.
Yes, sir. I mentioned it briefly in my end-of-year report, but the ordinance committee has met several times and given me some direction on some proposed changes to bring back to the planning commission and ultimately to you guys. And so tonight, I'm going to explain these as quickly as I can, but just to give you an overview of the direction that the ordinance committee sent me and what the recommendations of the planning commission were. So starting with, there were several definitions not currently listed in our zoning ordinance that the committee felt would be good to include. One was for a vape shop, or a smoking accessory store, or a head shop is what they're commonly referred to as. So we developed a definition for what that is, and that's modeled closely after the city of South Haven's definition for the same type of establishment. The mother-in-law wing ordinance that was passed 3 or 4 years ago that allows for the application for a conditional use to add a mother-in-law wing or accessory dwelling unit didn't include the agricultural zone. I think that was more of a typo, but I included that in today's list just to give you an idea of something we're proposing to change. And then the most significant was the inclusion of some definitions for data center and all the other uses that go along with data center. And so the three we presented are for data center, of course, for an accessory use of a data center and an electrical substation, which are commonly associated with these types of deals. And there was lots of back and forth discussion with both the committee and the planning commission of exactly how this should land. And the reality is these are evolving so quickly that the rules are changing just as quickly. And so the safest bet to protect both the residents and for the opportunity, if there's the right spot in Hernando for these to come, was to, one, create the definition, and two, add these definitions by conditional use in the industrial zones, which are M1 and M2. And so what that would do is give that layer of review that could trigger a lot of the questions that are commonly associated with these types of centers, but it would have public input and give the planning commission an opportunity to review. And so that conditional use process was a basic layer of screening that we felt was safe to come to you guys as a recommendation. Concerning the sign ordinance, we've had a few small amendments proposed. One is on the weekends, we've noticed flags or certain types of inflated signs pop up, and the reality is we don't have code enforcement on the weekends, one, and two, the general consensus of the committee was that it does not really, if it's just there for the Saturday or Sunday during a sale, it's not enough of a distraction for traffic as it is if it was up constantly and on a continuous basis. The other one was the A-frame signs, the sidewalk signs that we see everywhere with sandwich board, is what they're called. Technically, those are prohibited by the ordinance, and so our recommendation was just to get rid of that. As long as they're not blocking the sidewalk and pulled up at night, that they would be allowable. And the most substantial change proposed by the committee is on neon signage within windows. And the consensus was to help limit the overwhelming amount of neon signage within a window. And so we proposed to basically cap that number at 2.5 square feet. So if someone wanted to have an illuminated sign, they can, or an open sign or something like that, that 2.5 square feet be the threshold of the allowable neon signage you can have within a window. And the last change, as discussed, was to the design standards, and the basic direction is to encourage more brick and less EFS. And so what we've done is redefined in the design standard ordinance where you can still do EFS or split face CMU, which is EFIS is basically the stucco material you see on hotels a lot. And split-face CMU is big concrete block with ragged edges is what it is. And so we still allow it as long as it's less than 10% of the total facade of the building to really encourage brick, stone, or board and batten. And so the change would be to define those materials and have the EFIS and CMU limited to 10%. So the next few pages of the staff report are the use charts that I've marked up to show, excuse me, I forgot cannabis. That's another one. But the use charts marked up showing what would be changing. And another change was to propose cannabis uses go into conditional use rather than permitted by right. There's several uses in here that are never used, and I think were probably from the original, when this zoning ordinance was originated. One of the uses was aluminum can collection centers, which are not a primary use we see much anymore. So we're just cleaning up the zoning ordinance, and I've listed those changes on the next several pages. Mini storages are currently allowed by conditional use in the C2 district, and the proposal from the committee was to move that to M1 industrial by conditional use, to limit those to the industrial areas. And then as you get back, you can see the design regulations that, like I mentioned just before, what would actually be changing is the definition of a primary material and a secondary material. And so we took this to the Planning Commission over the course of 2 meetings, the first of which was just to absorb, which I understand this is a lot of information, so I'm looking for feedback tonight of where to go. And at the second Planning Commission meeting, they moved to endorse these changes and took a unanimous vote to send them to you for a recommendation. And so I mentioned this is a lot of information, and I'm open for any feedback.
Anybody have any thoughts on any of those, for or against, strongly, or? And you're not expecting a vote on these tonight, are you, Austin, or are you?
I'll have to advertise anyway for 30
Okay.
days, and so I plan to bring back a fully codified ordinance, but the main point tonight was I need to know what to advertise to get us to the next step for an adoption in 30 days.
Okay. Anybody disagree with any of those or want to discuss any of them?
I think it all sounds reasonable and cleaning up what we've already got.
If we was to take a inventory, I don't know what you did, it's not just a quick inventory of the neon signage that we presently have in the city, where did that fall in with the 2.5 square foot? If you look at, like I said, look at the existing buildings that have neon signage now,
Like an open sign, what size is it?
is it in compliance with this or out of compliance with this proposal?
The way we structured this was to allow the open signs. So all the open signs we saw were generally less than 2.5 square feet. There are some businesses that are out of compliance. I do want to be honest about that.
Yeah, that's why I don't know what percentage of that was, I want to, you know.
I don't know. There are several out of compliance. That would be out of compliance if this was adopted.
And is that because they have multiple signs or, okay?
Yes, ma'am. It's usually the multiple signage. Generally, the 2.5 square foot sign would cover an open sign. This would prohibit multiple signs or neon boards within windows.
So basically, it would be limiting people most of the time to one sign, one neon sign.
Yes, sir.
And the ones that, we would document the one that presently have them, that they would be grandfathered in, and this would not hold them in violation or anything? I want to clear that, I guess I asked the attorney for that.
I think the thought was that they would have to go away, they would not be grandfathered in.
I have a problem with that, you know, because they already within requirements presently. And then we pass something, gonna put them out of compliance, and then we tell them that you need to go move what you already been operating with that we have allowed. It's just like a grandfather clause. And like you said, we're not talking about that many business, but even regardless of how few business it is, I would hate that they would have to take something down that they've been in compliance for how long, a month or 6 months, whatever. That's my only problem with the 2.5, is that we do grandfather in the existing signage that's already there.
That's something where we could put the onus on the business owners to say, hey, I have more than one neon sign, rather than your department going and like documenting stuff, like that they have to say, hey, I want to be grandfathered in, I got 5 signs. I don't know how that works. I don't know if I should direct that to you
That's with
city
code,
attorney,
that's with
or-
code enforcement, so the
Yeah.
business wouldn't be coming to, they'll be going to the business and tell them they're out of plan. There'll be something that our planning
Well,
department.
I'm just
would do.
thinking with like
in the
manpower,
lead up
you know?
to it, to be grandfathered in, I guess is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, to be grandfathered in. Then that way he's not having to spend, man hours.
You're
pulling
saying
is it
somebody
signs
just
down.
large?
decides to throw up like 4 signs and say they were grandfathered in.
Exactly, yeah,
Is there
yeah.
a large number of businesses, or are we talking like a handful?
Oh, probably a handful.
I'm saying, that's something
name
that
a
we could
handful,
document
like-
real quick. I don't think
And
it'd be.
I do, the permanent versus temporary signage is something that's going to be kind of difficult because we already don't allow blinking or flashing or anything like that. But if someone was just to hang something on a window, does that qualify as permanent signage? Because most of them are just a plug-in. They're with a sticky on the window. And then I don't think we have any permanent neon signage. I don't think.
Also, I think, Josh, I just want to clarify what we're talking about. We're talking about an open sign that says open, and then like a beer logo or something like that in the window typically, right? At the
That's right.
convenience store. I'm not going to be in favor of grandfathering that in. I think that's a ridiculous. I think that's.
Because the open sign, I mean, the whole point of having the exception for one sign is for the open sign. I mean, is it really worth grandfathering in a beer sign or, something like, obviously we can't talk about content.
That's
but
right. So it could be a beer sign as long as it's less than 2.5 square
Yeah.
feet. It's just they get one.
They can they can get rid of their open sign and get a beer sign if they want to, but, or get a neon open sign and keep their beer sign if they want to. But the point is, so that the windows aren't cluttered with, a bunch of different.
And I don't think there's any permanent signage, nothing that's fairly expensive or anything like that. It'd just be simply unplugging the sign and taking it out of the window.
Generally, I think that's what it is.
Most of the beer and cigarette signs are donated by the vendors anyway.
Right.
They didn't cost them any money.
Good point.
Again, that was just Miller's opinion.
Oh,
Not-
that's Wicker's opinion.
I mean,
How about
that's-
that?
that's
We got to do
opinion, so-
something about it. We argue about something.
It's no argument. I thought that's just a statement, so it's not an argument.
Oh, that's not being argued.
Yeah, just accept for the word.
While we're having a brief lull, is there anyone with the public that wants to comment on any of these proposed ordinance changes that won't be changed tonight, but would just be advertised? Okay. Seeing none, is there any more, are there any more comments from the board? So would we go ahead, yes.
Like, if we're getting technical, are all the signs actually neon, or are they now made out of other materials? So like, does it need to?
Internally illuminated was the goal.
Okay, because I mean, this says neon, so I didn't know if some people might want to skirt around
Slash internally
that.
illuminated, yes.
That's all.
So is everybody okay with authorizing him to advertise this so we can bring it back up as an ordinance change?
Yes.
Absolutely. Can I get somebody to make a motion on that?
Motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to advertise these changes to come back to the board for possible adoption. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Thank you very much. We are going to move on to the initial public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant application. Daryl, do I need to read this?
I can read it.
Okay.
If you're all
great.
right with that.
I am great with it.
Good evening, Board. Darrell Dixon with North Delta Planning and Development District. We're project administrators for state and federally funded projects. And I'd like to open this initial public hearing by reading and announcing the public hearing notice that was advertised in the DeSoto Times Tribune. The city of Hernando, Mississippi is considering applying to the Mississippi Development Authority for a community development block grant of up to $750,000 in the regular competition for public building improvements. The state of Mississippi has been allocated approximately $23,859,923 that will be made available to cities, towns, and counties on a competitive basis to undertake eligible community development activities. These funds must be used for one of the following purposes: 1, to benefit low and moderate income persons; 2, to aid in the prevention or elimination of slums or blight; or 3, to meet other community development needs having a particular urgency because existing conditions pose a serious and immediate threat to the health or welfare of the community where other financial resources are not available to meet such needs. The activities for which these funds may be used are in the areas of public facilities and economic development. More specific details regarding eligible activities, program requirements, and the rating system are provided at the public hearing, which will be held here tonight at Hernando City Hall, 475 West Commerce Street, Hernando, Mississippi, 38632, on April 21st, 2026 at 6 p.m. Purpose of this hearing is to obtain citizen input into the development of the application. Location for the hearing is accessible to persons with disabilities. All comments are welcome and must be submitted in writing. If a translator is needed for non-English speaking persons, you can contact myself, Daryl Dixon, at 662-561-4116 at least 3 days prior to the meeting in order to accommodate such requests. The City of Hernando, Mississippi does not discriminate on the basis of disability in admission or access to or treatment or employment in its programs or activities. That being said, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to receive any public comments at this time in regards to that.
Okay. Is there anyone here who has public comments on our possibly applying for this CDBG loan? Or grant, I should say, grant. Anyone on the board have any other comments? I think y'all are familiar with it. This is the project we're in the middle of engineering for the application, and we're moving right along with doing all the things we're supposed to do, and this is a piece of the program.
That's right, this initial public hearing. So if there are no public comments, I'd just like to remind that public written comments can be submitted within up to 3 days after this public meeting. Those be included into the application records. And without any other public comments, I'd like to close the public hearing.
Okay. This public hearing is now closed. I do have a question for you. Sure. Could you update me and the board on what our next steps are and possible timelines?
So we have a draft of the preliminary engineering report from the firm that you all procured to do preliminary architectural on the project. We're taking that information, formulating your application. The due date is May 29th. This is actually the first year that Mississippi Development Authority is doing an all online process. And so that's good that you don't have to take applications in person to Jackson, but the other side of that is that it moves up our timeline because we want to make sure that everything is worked out and we don't face any kinks with an electronic system. So we'll be looking to take that information, bringing you back a draft at your next meeting. What we'd like to do is to have all of the final steps that you all need to take, which would be passing the associated resolutions that go along with community development block grant programs, as well as the matching fund resolution, all of those documentations, so that they can be adopted into the application. So that's really the next steps.
So we'll see almost everything else at our next board meeting.
That's right.
Okay. Any more questions for Daryl? All right. Daryl, thank you for helping us and administering this for us.
Thank you.
All right. So that closes our public hearing portion of the meeting. We'll move on to item 18, which is the approval of the resolution for the form and execution of an equipment lease purchase agreement between the city and Trustmark National Bank and for related matters connected to the Gale Center project, and for me to sign all the documents. And Stephen Pittman is here as our attorney. He's been involved in it. Y'all are familiar with this. This is the money we're going to use for the roof repair at the Gale Center and the air conditioner units on the roof. So Stephen's looked it all over and I think found it in order. So, and it looks like Trustmark had given us, I'm trying to find our rate again. I'd seen it on there, but we got a pretty good, our professionals with governmental consultants thought we got a good rate. So they were pretty happy with it. So it was out of Trustmark Bank. So next Thursday, if y'all approve this, they will be depositing the funds in a new separate bank account that we have set up so it can be monitored appropriately and easier to audit. So if there are no more questions, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And that motion passes. 19 is the utility adjustments. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the utility adjustment docket on the agenda.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion carries. Item 20 is an executive session for court personnel and parks personnel. I need a motion to go into closed determination to go into executive session.
Motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second, yeah.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.